The first thing that hit me was the silence. It was absolute, deafening. The kind of silence that makes you question your own existence, as if the world had been muted by some unseen hand. I stood there in the middle of the street, feeling the weight of the quiet pressing down on me. No cars, no distant sirens, no hum of electricity. The usual cacophony of urban life had vanished, leaving behind an unsettling void. It was as if the city itself had taken a deep breath and was holding it, waiting for something to break the stillness. Just the whisper of wind through deserted streets, the rustling of leaves, the occasional creak of a sign swaying in the breeze. These were the only sounds that accompanied me as I walked, each step echoing in the emptiness. I peered through the window, empty. The houses, the shops, all stood silent and abandoned. It was as if the entire population had simply vanished overnight, leaving behind a ghostly shell of a once bustling metropolis. The city, once a cacophony of life, was now a ghost town. The towering skyscrapers, the busy intersections, all stood in eerie stillness. It was a stark contrast to the vibrant, noisy place I had known. My heart pounded. Where was everyone? The sense of isolation was overwhelming, a heavy blanket of dread that wrapped around me. I felt a growing panic, a desperate need to find another living soul. The morning news confirmed my worst fear. The images on the screen were surreal, like scenes from a dystopian movie. Empty streets, deserted landmarks, and the grim faces of news anchors delivering the devastating news. A global pandemic, swift and merciless, had swept across the planet. The virus had spread with terrifying speed, leaving no corner of the world untouched. The death toll was staggering, the impact unimaginable. I watched in horror as news anchors, their faces etched with fear, announced the grim statistics. Billions gone. The numbers were incomprehensible, a stark reminder of the fragility of human life. The world as I knew it gone. The bustling cities, the crowded streets, all reduced to silent, empty spaces. It was a world transformed, a reality I struggled to comprehend. My hand trembled as I reached for my phone. Dead. No signal. The lifeline to the outside world severed. I was cut off, isolated in a way I had never experienced before. A wave of nausea washed over me. The reality of the situation hit me like a tidal wave, leaving me reeling. I felt a deep, gnawing fear, a sense of helplessness that threatened to overwhelm me. I was alone, utterly alone. The realization was a heavy burden, a crushing weight that pressed down on me. I had never felt so isolated, so completely cut off from the rest of humanity. The last person on Earth. The thought echoed in my mind, a chilling reminder of the new reality. I was the sole survivor in a world that had been brought to its knees. The weight of the situation pressed down on me. The enormity of it all was almost too much to bear. I felt a crushing sense of responsibility, a need to find a way to survive in this new, desolate world. Fear, raw and primal, gripped my insides. This couldn't be real. It felt like a nightmare, a twisted version of reality that I couldn't wake up from. But the fear was real and it was all-consuming. This had to be a nightmare. I closed my eyes, hoping to wake up in my bed to find that this was all just a bad dream. But when I opened them, the empty streets and the eerie silence were still there, a stark reminder of the new reality. But the eerie silence and the empty streets told a different story. This was real. This was the new world I had to navigate. A world where silence reigned, and I was the last person standing. The initial shock soon gave way to a strange sense of liberation. No more rules, no more deadlines, no more expectations. It was as if the weight of the world had been lifted off my shoulders and I could finally breathe. The constraints that once held me back were gone, and I was free to explore the world in a way I had never imagined. A world without boundaries stretched before me, ripe for the taking. I could do anything, go anywhere. The possibilities were endless, and the horizon seemed to stretch on forever. I felt an exhilarating rush of adrenaline as I contemplated the adventures that awaited me. I could drive the fastest car, feeling the raw power of the engine beneath me as I sped down empty highways. The thrill of the open road was intoxicating, and I reveled in the freedom of the journey. I could eat the most decadent foods, savoring each bite as if it were a rare and precious gift. The flavors danced on my tongue, and I indulged in culinary delights that I had only dreamed of before. The world was my oyster, even if it was an empty one. I could stand on the edge of a vast landscape, feeling the wind in my hair and the sun on my face, and for a moment I felt truly alive. For a while, I reveled in this newfound freedom. I ran through empty fields, laughing with abandon, and explored deserted cities with a sense of wonder and curiosity. Each day was a new adventure, and I embraced the unknown with open arms. I drove a sports car through deserted highways, the wind whipping through my hair. The sense of speed and freedom was exhilarating, and I felt invincible as I raced through the empty streets. I dined on gourmet meals, savoring every bite. The richness of the food was a stark contrast to the emptiness around me, and I took my time to enjoy each meal, knowing that such luxuries were fleeting. I slept under the open sky. The vastness of the universe spread above me. The stars seemed to shine brighter in the absence of city lights, and I felt a deep connection to the cosmos as I lay there, contemplating the mysteries of existence. But this freedom, exhilarating as it was fleeting. The initial euphoria began to fade, and I found myself grappling with a growing sense of emptiness. The vast empty spaces that once felt liberating now seemed desolate and lonely. It was a thin veneer, masking the deeper, more unsettling reality of my situation. The silence that once brought peace now felt oppressive, and the solitude that once felt freeing now felt like a prison. Loneliness, like a creeping vine, began to wrap itself around me. The absence of human connection became a heavy burden, and I longed for the simple comfort of companionship. The freedom I once cherished now felt like a cruel illusion, and I realized that true freedom is not just the absence of constraints, but the presence of meaningful connections. Days bled into weeks, and the silence became unbearable. The lack of human contact, of conversation, of laughter gnawed at my sanity. I yearned for a friendly face, a voice other than my own. The isolation began to take its toll. Simple tasks, once mundane, now seemed insurmountable. My sleep was plagued by nightmares. I lost track of time, of days, of myself. The line between reality and delusion blurred. Desperation clawed at me. I tried talking to animals, to the wind, to the empty sky, anything to fill the void. But the only response was the echo of my own voice, a constant reminder of my solitude. The lack of human connection wasn't just affecting my mind, it was ravaging my body. I was constantly fatigued, my immune system weakened. Every cough, every sneeze sent a jolt of fear through me. I knew the importance of maintaining my health, but the will to do so was waning. I ate sporadically, surviving on canned goods and whatever I could scavenge. Exercise was a distant memory. My reflection in the dusty mirror was a stranger. My skin was pale, my eyes bloodshot, my body a shadow of its former self. I was crumbling from the inside out, a victim of the most insidious disease, loneliness. Section 5, the will to live. But even in the depths of despair, a flicker of hope ignited within me. The instinct to survive, hardwired into my DNA, began to resurface. I wouldn't surrender to this fate. I would fight. I focused on the practicalities of survival. Food, water, shelter. I learned to hunt and fish. My skills honed by necessity. I discovered hidden springs and collected rainwater. I found refuge in an abandoned farmhouse, fortifying it against the elements. Every successful hunt, every meal I cooked, every night I survived fueled my determination. I was alone, yes, but I was alive. And as long as I was alive, there was hope. Section 6. Nature reclaims her domain. As I fought for survival, I witnessed a strange and beautiful transformation taking place around me. Nature, freed from the constraints of human activity, was reclaiming her domain. Plants pushed through cracks in the pavement, their roots cracking the concrete jungle. Animals, emboldened by the absence of humans, roamed freely. The air, once thick with pollution, was now crisp and clean. The world was healing, even if I wasn't. It was a bittersweet realization, a testament to the resilience of nature and a stark reminder of the destructive power of humanity. Section 7. Echoes of the past. I found solace in the remnants of human civilization. Libraries became my sanctuaries, filled with the echoes of countless voices. I devoured books, immersing myself in stories of love, loss, and adventure. Museums became time capsules, preserving the art, history, and culture of a vanished world. I wandered through their hushed halls, marveling at the ingenuity and creativity of my species. These echoes of the past, though tinged with sadness, reminded me of the beauty and wonder that humanity was capable of. They fueled my spirit, reminding me that even in death, life finds a way. Section 8, A Legacy of One. As the years turned into a decade, a profound question began to haunt me. What was the point of it all? The world had changed so drastically, and I was left to wander through the remnants of a once bustling civilization. The silence was deafening and the solitude overwhelming. I often found myself lost in thought, pondering the meaning of my continued existence. What was the purpose of my existence as the last human on Earth? Was there a reason I had been spared when everyone else had vanished? These questions gnawed at me day and night as I roamed through empty streets and abandoned buildings, searching for answers that seemed just out of reach. The answer, I realized, lay in the question itself. It was not about finding a grand purpose or a divine reason for my survival. It was about understanding that my existence in itself was a testament to resilience and hope. I was here, and that was enough. I may be the last, but I was still here. My presence, my thoughts, my actions, they all mattered. I was a living, breathing chronicle of humanity's past, present, and potential future. And in that realization, I found a sense of purpose. I still had a voice, a story to tell. My experiences, my memories, my reflections, they were all pieces of a larger narrative that needed to be shared. I decided to become the storyteller of a world that once was, and a world that could be again. And perhaps, in telling my story, I could leave behind a legacy, a message of hope and resilience for whatever or whoever may come after. My words could serve as a beacon, a guide for future generations, or even for other beings who might one day discover the remnants of our world. So I began to document my experiences, my struggles, my triumphs. Every day, I wrote about the challenges I faced, the small victories I achieved, and the lessons I learned along the way. My journal became a repository of knowledge, a testament to the human spirit's indomitable will to survive and thrive. I wrote of the beauty I witnessed, the lessons I learned, and the moments of peace I found in the midst of chaos. Nature had reclaimed much of the world, and in its quiet, unyielding presence I found solace and inspiration, and the hope I clung to. Hope that one day my words would reach someone somewhere. Hope that my story would not be lost to the sands of time, but would instead serve as a reminder of the resilience and enduring spirit of humanity. I wrote for myself, for humanity, for the future. Each entry was a piece of my soul, a fragment of my existence, carefully preserved for posterity. In my words, I found a sense of purpose, a reason to keep moving forward one day at a time. Section 9, The Last Sunset. Years later, my hair now streaked with grey, I stood on a mountaintop watching the sun paint the sky in a riot of colours. It was a breathtaking sight, a masterpiece of nature that I never tired of witnessing. My journey had been long and arduous, a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. I had known despair, loneliness, and unimaginable loss, but I had also found strength, resilience, and a profound appreciation for the fragility and preciousness of life. As the last rays of sunlight faded, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. My time was coming to an end, but I had lived. I had loved. I had left my mark on the world, and that, I knew, was enough.